All right, check it out, everybody. So it is Friday, June 30th, probably around 3 p.m. right now. And I just wanted to share with y'all, could this be swarm number 13? Not entirely too sure. I'm not getting too excited over it because if you haven't caught the previous video, we caught swarm number 12 within the last week or two from this location right here. And due to an uptick in swarms, that prompted me about a week ago to rehang swarm trap number 2. I was out here today to take a look at swarm number 12 for the first time, and I don't want to give too much away, but if you haven't checked out that video, pretty interesting and surprising find when I actually got into that colony. So I don't know, this could be the start to swarm number 13. TBD right now. What I've noticed this season is it is not uncommon for several scout bees to come check out a swarm trap location, and then over the next week or two you'll see an uptick in activity as the actual swarm moves in. So right now just TBD, but just something to pay attention to over the upcoming weeks, and we'll see what happens. So it is Sunday, July 9th, right before 11 o'clock. Temperature's about 86 degrees, humidity's in the low 70s, and I am out here to finally take care of swarm number 13. So quick backstory, just over 2 weeks ago on June 24th, I hung this trap after I came out to the bee yard to conduct some, I was gonna say usual or routine inspections, but at that point it had been about 3 weeks in between hive inspections, and that was the video titled Swarmageddon, where I had hive number 3 currently swarming. I watched them settle into one of those pine tree limbs right there, and then I had another swarm in a tree over there. So I came out to the bee yard again to a hive swarming, another colony in a tree, so they have swarmed. So 3 I know is queenless. I didn't mark them, but then swarm number 9 has become queenless as well. Basically all the colonies or the hives with the bricks vertically, to include this one, basically I'm using that brick, if you haven't watched the previous video, as a dual source marker. So inline, because they still have a few frames that I'm giving them some time to cure, and then rotate it up because they're most likely queenless as well. So there you have it, folks. Quick backstory summary of a few hive statuses. But yeah, this is swarm number 13 that I can comfortably say I have caught, because one, the bees moved in to this trap about a week or within the week of hanging it. So the first video that I have that I can refer back to was on June 30th. So hung the trap on the 24th. Within a week we had bees on the entrance. Here we are just over 2 weeks later, and they're still coming and going, so most likely I've caught a swarm. So that's the 13th swarm that I've caught in our yard. Yeah, in our yard for this year. However, I've had at least 3 or 4 get away, so maybe 17 swarms for the season, but 13 have been successfully captured. So anyway, this is the first of many steps. And again, previous video summary, if you haven't watched the most current video, which was a quick inspection of the colonies from last week, I believe, you will hear me say I am tapped out on equipment. And with that being said, once I get the swarm moved down on top of the ladder, I am going to try to repair this old 5-frame former swarm trap that old Dave Peed gifted me many years ago, which has started to dry rot. I took off the bottom board. I have some wood in the garage that I'm gonna cut to size, hopefully fix that up and give it a few more years of life. So that's what I'm up to today. I'll perch the camera up in this pine tree here to give y'all a over-the-shoulder view of popping the top for the first time. But yeah, so I'm just gonna, like usual, if you haven't watched those videos, I'm just gonna move the swarm trap from its current location to on top of the ladder, secure it with the same ratchet strap, maybe move the frames from the trap into the box and put the box on top of the ladder so they can reorientate to that, or because I have a few things going on today with the family, maybe I'll just move the trap on top of the ladder, and then sometime during the week in the afternoon, once I get home from work, transfer the frames from the trap to the 5-frame equipment. So here we go, first of a few videos with swarm number 13. All right, got the ratchet strap off and they're already disturbed. Quick look. Yeah, I'd say the swarm moved in. All right, let's get them moved down, like I said, off of here and on top of the ladder. All right, call it a little bit of an audible today. So it's just after 4 o'clock. I was able to make the repairs to the 5-frame box that I needed to earlier today. And I am working between rain bands. In fact, it just stopped raining, so the bees should be in a very pleasant mood. And the next rain band that's supposed to hit our area is coming through in about 30 minutes, which is ample amount of time to get the swarm trap moved down off the ladder and transfer the 4 frames over into the 5-frame equipment, put the 5-frame equipment back on top of the ladder, and then let things settle for the next few days. So without further ado, that is exactly what I'm about to do here. All right, here we go. Smoker's struggling, which is always pleasant. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. So one of the reasons I decided to get, decided to get into the bees today versus waiting for better weather throughout the week is mainly because they've been in this trap for just about 2 weeks already, and I really just wanted to get them moved over. I was hoping to get some better weather, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So here we go. This is the frame in the second position, which I'm not surprised. They've already started to draw some wax. This is also a really crappy frame, which is why I have rubber bands on it. So maybe just put that towards the outside. Okay, this is the frame in the third position, which you can see they're not really doing too much. Fourth frame, more of a placeholder than anything. And actually I'm gonna put that in last. And let's see what this first frame is doing, because they're drawing comb out against the wall on this thing. Oh man, they have a ton of comb. Oh, I hate doing this. Ton of comb off of the bottom. I'll get all that cleaned up here in a little bit. I'm seeing if they have, I'm looking for the queen at the same time. I'm looking in the cells to see if they have any eggs. Alright, I don't see anything just yet, but I'm moving pretty fast. Alright, let's get this last frame moved in. Ton of bees, like usual. Inside the box, still, like a ton of bees. I'll show you. So, we do a few things. Usually bump the swarm trap on top of the 5-frame and try and get most of the bees in there. All right, I just made some room. Actually pulled 2 frames out. We'll see how this goes. There are a ton of bees, like I said, and showed you inside the box here. So we'll see if this works out. They weren't irritated before. They probably are now. All right, let's get this comb out of the way. Shake that off. Yeah, well, that's not what I want it to do. Okay. This is becoming a mess. It's just drawn comb with some pollen. Same thing, I don't see any eggs on that. All right, let's get everything put back together. Nice and neat. Get this box put on top of the ladder and see what we can make of this. All right, that does it for today. About 15 minutes. Was able to get them transferred. Found some small mesh inside my tote out here, and I was able to close up a portion of the side of the box that had dry rotted and created a gap between the side and the bottom board. Not an unusual scene at all to see the bees really cling to the tree where the swarm trap was at. So it's Sunday afternoon, got some thunder rolling in and the next storm front, so I'm out of here. I'll probably move them over to the hive stand in a few days, maybe Wednesday night around 9 o'clock or so after dark. Different box, so I should be able to close up the entrance real easy and just get them moved over. But all right, here it is, Wednesday, July 12th, right at 8 p.m. The sun should set in about 30 minutes, but it won't get dark until about 9 o'clock, so about an hour from now. So that's pretty interesting. We got some bearding on the side where there is some dry rot that I thought I closed up pretty well, and I may have. They may just be bearding there because of the scent from the hive, and not too unexpected to see that. Decent bearding on the front. So I'm gonna give them another hour, wait until it is completely dark, and then get them moved over onto the hive stand into the very last location. So as long as all the hives are still alive, which judging by a lot of the activity and bearding at this hour due to the temperature, it looks like most of them are, all except for this very last one. Not a whole lot of activity on this one. Call this number 15. So that's just something for me to look at this weekend when I conduct what I'm trying to redevelop as my weekly hive inspections. But yeah, I'll get them situated into that last spot, and what I was saying is, as long as all the hives are alive, this will be number 16. All right, it's about 8:45. I don't want to wait too much longer, so I'm just taking the shortcut to the bee yard. All right, just another quick look. I imagine not much has changed. Actually, a little more bearding. So when I go to pick up the box, I'll just have to make a note to lift it up and over the ladder rail, and then again, just over onto the hive stand here. All right, easy day. I just took my time and had some pretty steady hands, and I did not lose any bees. I do expect to find some bees basically going back to this location for the next few days, but they should they should settle down and stabilize to their new location by the weekend. All right, that's all there is to it for today. I'll get into them on Saturday, as long as the weather cooperates, and inspect them for the first time. All right, hey, here it is a few days later after moving swarm number 13 over onto the hive stand. So it's Saturday, July 15th, right at 10 a.m. and I have already identified something I need to fix before even getting into this hive, which is the mesh here. So I thought this mesh was the smaller diameter than what you're looking at, but I was wrong, because as you can see, bees can fit through it, and essentially they're using that as another hive entrance. Side of the box, left side of the box, just had some old dry rotting wood, so I thought that was an easy fix, and it was, but I chose the wrong size diameter. So that's just something for me to do later today, kind of off camera. But let's get into the colony, see what they've been up to for the last few days, and hopefully I can find a queen. I have a clip ready, and get her caged, get her marked, and call it a day, hopefully. All right, so this will be like really the first look at this swarm since catching them and getting them moved into the equipment here. Kind of running out of room, which is a good thing. But yeah, let's give them some smoke. They definitely have a decent amount of bees. All right, I'm just gonna go frame by frame, contemplating whether or not to keep the camera rolling, but I just might, because it's a 5 frame. They only had 4 frames in the swarm trap, which they only developed wax on a few frames. I had to knock a lot of wax off, which I never like to do, because it's a lot of resources and energy that they used, but because of the extra space, the extra volume in the swarm traps, for whatever reason they like to draw the wax on the bottom side of the frames. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to move frame by frame, which is only a few of them, and hopefully I can find the queen and get her caged. In case you think you're missing anything, you're not. I turned the camera off, pulled this frame up, and turned the camera back on. So this is a good sign. They are definitely queen right, because on this frame, and I'm going to try and show y'all, on this frame, the new drawn wax, if you can see that, hopefully you can a little bit, they have eggs in those cells, so it's kind of unusual. I don't even think it's possible to have a swarm without a queen. I initially thought that because the wax was newly drawn and the queen just had not got around to laying any eggs in them just yet, but they are queen right for sure. It's just a matter of finding her. So that's what I'm gonna do here in a second after I turn the camera off, just to give myself some time, because I only have so many frames, like I've said a few times now. So you would think it would be easy to find her, but as you can see, needle in a haystack comes to mind. Alright, so I'm just gonna take my time, really try to find the queen cager, and hopefully I can share that with everybody. Alright, just like that. I lightly blew on the frame, and she was behind a cluster of bees, but she is a nice looking queen, not marked. So I know this isn't the best camera angle, but let me get her caged. And just like that, got her. Alright, I'm just going to take a look at the last two frames, which they don't really have much going on at all, but since I'm here, and I know I need to replace this frame eventually, I got it trying to hold it together with some rubber bands, hoping the bees kind of fill in any gaps with wax eventually, and just kind of make the most of it. But like I said in a previous video, I am running out of equipment, which is a good thing, especially this time of year. So, for instance, this is what I'm working with too. Just an older frame. I ran some, I think it's 50-pound fishing line test through it, and just trying to make the most of some frames because I ran out of foundation. All right, so they're queen rate, obviously. Let's get her marked. I'll show you all that. All right, there we go. Got her down in there. Now let's get her marked. Alright, there she goes, nicely marked. Like usual, give her a few minutes to dry off and we'll get her released. Alright, let's get Swarm 13 Hive 16's queen released. Get her back into the colony and let her keep doing her thing. Alright, I was about to get back into the colony because I did not see her get released, but if you can see it or not, she is right there. Maybe a better look. Bees are probably trying to figure out what's on her back now since she has this red dot, and I've seen this before. It's where the queens start acting a little lethargic, but they tend to be okay.